Hello, welcome back. Another week, another chapter of Red, White, and Royal Blue. We're on chapter 13, and boy, oh boy, was this full for. It was a lot. This chapter hit lots of different things, lots of emotions, lots of It was just. It was killing me a little. Emotional love, it ended well, but it was tough. Now, I didn't know what to expect out of this chapter. I knew where we were in the story. We're going to talk to Mumsy Dear at the end, which was I was so excited to see where that went. Because we kind of didn't get as much in the movie. And from the movie, I knew this one focused on the queen, not the kid. I knew there were all these moving pieces that were going to be different to the movie, so I had no clue where we're going, and I was shocked and surprised in the best ways of how this chapter came to fruition. I was just at every turn I was wasn't expecting this, this is great, this is fantastic, because I feel this is maybe where the stories are different. They're different things, and we love them both for different reasons. But I was just I was eating this chapter up. I was reading it. I was forgetting to circle things. I was there's just so much of this chapter that I want to read out with everyone. Because, this chapter was bloody fantastic. As, honestly, they all have been. I feel I shit on, chapters, 1 to 5. Because after that, everything got serious, and it has just been so solid. The writing's been so good. Now, there is gonna be a lot of bits in this chapter that we get into that I'll just be straight reading out, because absolute gold, this one. I can't say it enough. I feel I go in circles, but I cannot express how good some of the bits were. I was just reading it. Also, this chapter I think has been my most emotional so far while reading it. Which is a great thing. I love feeling that tug on your heart for the connections. It was a happy emotional too. There was a lot of the mother stuff was getting me. A lot of the love was hitting me a lot, and obviously we'll get into it. But I was sitting reading it. I was when you feel that lump in your throat, not my Adam's apple, the different, an emotion lump. What is that phenomenon? Do people get, or am I got something wrong with me? When you're you could cry, but it's also, you just well up and you feel it there. Is there a name for that? Let me know down below. Because I feel that's a phenomenon that people get, right? That I don't know. But I got that at least 3 times. I was holy shit. A lot of good quotes. As I read, fun, it's not that. I was gonna say fun behind the scenes. It's not that behind the scenes all fun. But I read different quotes or bits, and as I'm reading, sometimes I'm thinking about video titles and stuff, because it's really strange when you start doing this sort of thing, which I love doing the best. It's so much fun. But you see things different. I watch TV or movies. Certain things I see, I'm thumbnail. Certain bits I read in this, I'm title. But there was a lot of good quotes that I was I'm tossing up what I want to do. But I thought it was really funny because there are some really good bits that hopefully will stick back out to me when I read it, and I'll be that was one of them. But I feel we should just get into it. It's gonna be a long one because there's so much good stuff that I want to read and I want to talk about. Again, you're going to have to endure my reading. But I feel I've been getting better. Sometimes I've been getting better at reading, I swear. Sometimes because when I edit, I have to watch it out. Sometimes I'm wow, I did that pretty well. The problem is those words that I don't know. There's every book there's going to be words. I ain't the smartest person in the world. And I'll read it by myself and I'll go, I'm going to Google that word so I know how to say it when I do it. Then I click play and I completely forget to do it, and I could just edit it out, but I feel it's funny when I go up to it. I'm I can feel myself being I know it's coming. I can see it and I don't know what it is. But we should just get into it. How about that? I get into this chapter because I'm excited. Let's start chapter 13. Sit down, his mother tells him, and Alex feels dread coiled deep in his stomach. He has no clue what to expect. Knowing your parent as a person who raised you isn't the same as being able to guess their moves as a world leader. He sits, and the silence hovers over them, his mother's hands folded into considering pose against her lips. She looks exhausted. "Are you okay?" she says finally. When he looks up in surprise, there's no anger in her eyes. The president stands on the edge of a career-ending scandal, measures her breaths evenly, and waits for her son to answer. "Oh." It hits him with sudden clarity that he hasn't at all stopped to consider his own feelings. There simply hasn't been time. When he reaches for an emotion to name, he finds he can't pin one down, and something shudders inside him and shuts down completely. We love President... Oh, what's her name? I know. Diaz. Yeah? No. Claremont. President Claremont. Is she still got the... Am I this far into the book and I can't remember that? Oh my god, it's... Just click off the video now. Click off the video. We're done. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Anywho, Mother Dearest, as we'll refer to her now. So, like, adorable. We love that she just goes, you know, are you... Like, number one priority here. Are you okay? How are you feeling? Let's check in. And I completely, like, see this. He's just like, I actually haven't fucking thought about myself. Like, you'd just be in this, like, any state of, like, emergency or panic. You're not thinking. You're not, like, trying to take this introspection on yourself. He's probably just been, like, running off adrenaline and freaking the fuck out and fear and anxiety. And to not, like, be able to understand those emotions makes so much sense. And he's just like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I haven't thought about myself. I've been thinking about Henry and you, and everything's been going on. Which I feel like he still doesn't get the most amount of time to, like, figure his own stuff out. But it slowly gets there. But I couldn't even imagine, like, on that scale sort of thing, you know, where everyone's, like, talking about you, and to be able to process that would be nuts. Like, you know, just the thought of that, like, the world having their eyes on you would be insane. And especially and it's not even that it's in a negative, well, to some people, negative light, but of that scale, of that magnitude, and a positive, like, just the focus would kill. And obviously we know how personal what they've got going on was, and to have that, I think I would, like, you know, props to him. Obviously he's, you know, got all the people around him moving him through doing the focus groups and stuff, but just to not curl up and just, like, cry for 3 years, props to you, Alex. A strong man you are indeed. He begins. To his horror, he hears something shake in his voice, which he quickly swallows down. I don't know. This isn't how I wanted to tell people. I thought we'd get the chance to do this right. Something softens and resolves in her face, and he's answered a question for her beyond the one she asked. She reaches over and covers one of his hands with her own. You listen to me, she says. Her jaw is set, ironclad. It's the game face he's seen her use to stare down Congress, to cow autocrats. Autocrats? Some of the political jargon really throws me off. Her grip is on his hand, steady and strong. He wonders, half hysterically, if this is how it felt to charge into war under Washington. I am your mother. I was your mother before I was ever the president, and I will be your mother long after, to the day they put me in the ground and beyond this earth. You are my child, so if you're serious about this, I'll back your play. Alex is silent. But the debate, he thinks. But the general. Her gaze is hard. He knows better than to say either of those things. She'll handle it. So, he says, do you feel forever about him? And there is no room left to antagonize over it. Nothing left to do but say the thing he's known all along. Yeah, he says, I do. Ellen Claremont exhales slowly, and she grins a small, secret grin. The crooked, unflattering one she's never used in public. The one he knows best from when he was a kid around the knees in a small kitchen in Travis County. Then fuck it. Okay, we got things. Alan Claremont. I'm sorry. In the movie, you're here's Claremont Diaz. I forgot. You're divorced in this one. You're married in the other one. It confuses me. Second, when he says, he hears something shaking his voice, he quickly swallows it down. I think there's a couple of instances of this through this chapter where he's like, it's interesting because he has this like unsureness about him, like this weird grapple on like his emotions coming up, which is there's a lot of different things to think about it, because I think he's a very confident person and I think he's confident in his emotions. But I think some people like that are so confident, then with a raw like emotion that is not like in their way of putting things out, just like bubbles up, it's very intimidating, because he's kind of like, oh shit, like this is something that I haven't like, I don't know, I don't usually put out, even if it's, emotional. It's something that I haven't like thought about and constructed, as we know his big list, figuring things out and like organizing them before he releases them outwards. And he's like, oh shit, swallow it down. There's a couple of instances, and I'm like, sweetheart. I'm like, first of all, adorable, because he doesn't know how to process, and he's going through so much, and it's so hard on him, and he's just trying to like do with what he can, and these emotions bubbling up, and he doesn't have time, and he's like, no, I'm gonna force it down. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna keep my emotions as intact as you can, which is also like a coping mechanism, a strategy for him, where he's just like, we'll just keep the emotions out for a moment, we'll focus on what we can, the facts, and just keep it going. So like, I completely get it. It's just like, it's interesting to see. I love the way they write it, as in, he keeps pushing it down. These are not, the things he's used to portraying. It's something new for him. I think that also like shows how strong the love is. It's bringing up these emotions from him about their situation that he doesn't even like recognize or think about, that he knows that's there. They come up, and he hasn't comprehended that, and you don't have to until you're in like a situation like that. I don't know, I might be reading too far into it, but I love the way that's kind of like phrased. Also, the way she's just like, I'm your mum, let's do this, let's take on the world. And it's just the cutest thing. And he's thinking about her career, and she's, like, nah, this is more important, which I love. Okay, then we get the way I love how I circle my different things, figure out what I'm gonna read, and then the more through the chapter I get, and then I come back to doing this. I'm like, actually, no, we're not gonna focus too much on this because there's better stuff later. I like pick and choose. I'm like, wow, that was great. And as I go, there's so many great things. I'm like, well, this stuff sucks now, so I'm not gonna go into it as much. But there's the Washington Post article, which obviously they're, it's news. It is big news. But I hate it all because I don't want them to talk about them because it's private. They talk about how he told Raphael Luna, and she's like, no, obviously, well, the pictures were taken before. It probably wasn't him that's the leak. She was kind of like, why the fuck did you tell him? But she's like, it's not going to be the worst thing. He's talking about how, he hates all this stuff and he regrets things, but it's just a cute little line that he says, he doesn't regret Henry, which is just adorable. Some of the little lines, they aren't in an intro, it's all interesting, but not in the biggest part or the most serious part, but they just have these one little lines that I'm like, oh, their love just hits me straight in the heart. I'm just like, he doesn't regret him. He's on his phone, doom scrolling a bit on Twitter. It was probably still Twitter back then, so I'm gonna call it Twitter forever. And screw anyone that thinks we should call it X, because that is not what it is. But he's texts Henry or calls him, no response, and he was never gonna get a response. And I understand that they're the Buckingham Palace and the royal family would be a bit more they haven't made a comment, but the White House, but obviously they're all going to be in their secretive bits, trapping them up, not letting them talk, and it just hurts. If anything is great about this chapter, it is the Alex's support network and his family is so adorable and so cute, and I think it helps starting at that side, at this point in the chapter, doing all the stuff with Henry, because it shows it's such a division between how his family reacts and everything goes on, and then Henry's later. In some ways, obviously, Henry has Bea, and as we'll get into that and who supports him, but we'll go on from here. They all turn to look at him. Alex feels a wave of something so much bigger than himself sweep over him, like when he was a child, standing bow-legged in the Gulf of Mexico, riptide sucking at his feet. A sound escapes his throat, uninvited, something that he barely even recognizes, and June has him first, and the rest of them, arms and arms and hands, pulling him close and touching his face, and moving him until he's on the floor, the goddamn terrible, hideous antique rug that he hates, sitting on the floor and staring at the rug, and the threads of the rug, and hearing the Gulf rushing in his ears, and thinking distantly that he's having a panic attack, and that's why he can't breathe, but he's just staring at the rug, and he's having a panic attack, and knowing why his lungs won't work doesn't make them work again. He's faintly aware of being shifted into his room, to his bed, which is still covered in godforsaken fucking newspapers, and someone guides him onto it. He sits down and tries very, very hard to make a list in his head. 1, 1, 1. He sleeps in fits and starts, wakes up sweating, wakes up shivering. He dreams in short, fractured scenes that swell and fade erratically. He dreams of himself at war, in a muddy trench, love letters soaking red in his chest pocket. He dreams of a house in Travis County, doors locked, unwilling to let him in again. He dreams of a crown. He dreams once, briefly, of a lake house, an orange beacon under the moon. He sees himself there, standing in water up to his neck. He sees Henry, sitting naked on the pier. He sees June and Nora, hands clasped together, and pears on the grass between them, and Bea, digging pink fingertips into the wet soil. In the trees next to them, he hears the snap, snap, snap of branches. Look, Henry says, pointing up to the stars, and Alex tries to say, don't you hear it? Tries to say, something's coming. He opens his mouth, a spill of fireflies, and nothing. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there, because they are two very different bits. Maybe I should have broken them up, but I was in the flow. I was in the flow of reading, and I was enjoying my second read through. But first, to be with your family, he had, his mum, stepdad, dad, sister there, just embracing him and all being there with him, and he felt like he's back home, but also like a kid, and they're there for him, and he's having a panic attack, but he's also just like, he's present and he's thinking about it, but he's got this support. It was just beautifully written. And then I love a dream sequence. I love a nightmare sequence. I think they're cool. I think you can add a lot of craziness that still ties, you can write these beautiful bits and they still tie in very he dreams of crowns, a house in Travis County, not being able to go back there, the doors are locked, but he's in the trenches, love letter soaking red in his pocket, and then we hear him back at the lake, and he's trying to say something's coming, we've got to prepare for this is going to happen. He's thinking of the past and all this. I love the way they do it, and you can just it was so, I enjoy it. I think the writing of this is just done very well, and it makes me, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm panicking. I feel like I'm freaking out. I can see visually, when he says the fireflies spitting out of his mouth, I'm like, holy shit, I talked about it so much when I was like, oh, that beautiful crown of fireflies, and now I'm like, no, they're spilling out. It's a nightmare. They're ruining the image of Henry for him. They're ruining this stuff. Everyone's creeping in. Everything's getting distorted. I don't know. I love a nightmare sequence. I think it's so much fun. At 1 p.m, for a second time in 12 hours, Zara bursts through the bedroom door. Pack a bag, she says. We're going to London. Yes, Zara. Yes, Zara. You are my fucking queen. I love her so much. You know what? She should go, when they go to London, she should kill the queen, usurp the queen, and take the throne. Because honestly, she should run like any country. Because she's the best. She's so fun. She's so witty. And we get some good bits like coming up for her. I'll read it out, but I was loving it. Anytime she gets just to be herself, and they write her so well, Zara just has so much fun bits. The feeling rolling around his gut is bizarre. His mum has signed them off on going public with the truth, which is incredible, but there's no reaction to expect that. There's no reason to expect that from the Crown. He could get marching orders to deny everything. He thinks he might have to grab Henry and run if it comes down to it. He's almost completely sure Henry wouldn't go along with pretending it was all fake. He trusts Henry and he believes him, but they were also supposed to have more time. There is a secluded side entrance in the residence that Alex can sneak out without being seen, and June and his parents meet him there. I know it's scary, his mum says, but you can handle it. Give him hell, his dad adds. It's so cute. I think it's just the support he has, and they're just like on such a big scale too. They're like, we don't fucking care. Go take them all out. Take everyone out. Kill everyone. Who cares? Just make sure you have love. Get Henry back, and it will be cute, and it will be lovely, and we will have fun, and that is all that matters in this world. I love a story where it's like, I was gonna say love wins, which is like, I get it. It's like the cutest thing, but also like a bit cringe. But just like with love triumphs all those other dumb things like rules and politics. Fuck that. Let's just have love. Let's just have love all the time, because this book makes me believe in it. This little paragraph just absolutely fantastic. He's not, he thinks, upset people know. He's always been pretty unapologetic when it came to things like who he dates and what he's into, although those were never anything like this. Still, the cocky shithead part of him is slightly pleased to finally have a claim on Henry. Yep, the prince, the most eligible bachelor in the world. British accent, face like a Greek god, legs for days, mine. Let me just first of all break down, build myself back up. First of all, get you someone who talks about you like that. B, I want someone that I can talk about like that. It goes both ways. I'm like, wow, that is the cutest thing ever. And he's just like, he's mine. And obviously the mine thing can go two ways, but it's just so cute. Like, he's like, everyone can know. That's my boy. That fucking hunky man over there, that's my boyfriend. It's just so cute. And then we get into this bit which I didn't think about in the slightest. And Henry, those emails, those letters, were the one place Henry could say what he was really thinking. There's nothing that wasn't laid out there. Henry being gay, B going to rehab, the Queen tactically keeping Henry in the closet. Alex hasn't been a good Catholic in a long time, but he knows confession is a sacrament. They were supposed to stay safe. Fuck. I didn't even think about the B going to rehab stuff. They also talked how his mum's like out of the picture. They spilled like they're just like family drama secrets. It just they happen to be the royal family, so they're like bigger and a bit crazier. But I was just like, shit, I didn't even like the B going to rehab stuff. I was like, fuck, I can't even like think about that in the slightest. Oh god. I'm like I'm going through the pages. I don't know if you can see them. I was like flicking through the next ones to figure it out, like which ones are the next ones I need to read. They're literally like everything's circled. So this is where it starts. This is where the read along starts. Who are you calling? She sighs, holding the phone up to her ear as it rings. What makes you think he'll answer? It's his personal line. Alex stares at her. You have his personal line and you haven't used it until now? Shan, Zara snaps. Listen up, you fuck. We're in the air right now. Fotis is with me. ETA, 6 hours. You will have a car waiting. We will meet the Queen and whoever the fuck else we have to meet to hash this shit out. Or so help me God, I will personally make your balls into fucking earrings. I will scorch earth your entire motherfucking life. She pauses, presumably to listen to him agree, because Alex can't imagine him doing anything else. Now put Henry on the phone and do not tell me he's not there, because I know you haven't let him out of your sight. And she shoves the phone at Alex's face. He takes it uncertainly and lifts it to his ear. There's a rustling, a confused noise. Hello? It's Henry's voice, sweet and posh and shaky and confused, and the relief knocks the wind out of him. Sweetheart? He hears Henry exhale over the line. Hi, love. Are you okay? He laughs wetly, amazed. Fuck, are you kidding me? I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm managing. Alex winces. How bad is it? Philip broke a vase that belonged to Anne Bolan. Gran ordered a communications lockdown, and Mum hasn't spoken to anyone, Henry tells him. But, other than that, all things considered, it's, I know, Alex says. I'll be there soon. There's another pause. Henry's breath is shaky over the receiver. I'm not sorry, he says. That people know. Alex feels his heart climb up into his throat. See, the throat thing. I told you it was the thing. Henry, he attempts. I talked to my mum. I know the timing isn't ideal. Would you want to... Hang on, Alex says. Are we both asking the same thing? That depends. Were you going to ask me if I want to tell the truth? Yeah, Alex says, and he thinks his knuckles might be white around the phone. Yeah, I was. Then yes, a breath. Barely. You want that? Henry takes a moment to respond, but his voice is level. I don't know if I would have chosen it, but it's out there now, and I won't lie. Not about this. Not about you. Alex's eyelashes are wet. I fucking love you. I love you too. That hurts me. It's what the fuck is going on? They're gonna make me fucking bawl my eyes out. Internally, my heart is kind of like shattered, but it's also together because this is really cute and nothing bad's happening. Let's talk about Zara, shall we? She was funny. That was, the balls into the fucking earring. That was good. The line where he just says, hold on, I've got to find it. My heart's in my throat. I'm not sorry, he says, that people know. That was line number 1 that got me. It's beautiful. I love this newfound sense of, it's not even like confidence in a way. It is for Henry, but it's also just like, he's at the point where he wants to be himself. He wants to live with love. He doesn't care about his family. He wants this beautiful, he wants to be with the boy that he loves. I think it's so adorable. I think it's so cute. Just hold on until I get there. We're going to figure this out. I will. I'm coming. I'll be there soon. Henry exhales a wet, broken laugh. Please do hurry. They hang up, and he passes the phone back to Zara, who takes it wordlessly and tucks it back into her bag. Thank you, Zara. She holds one hand up, eyes closed. Don't. Seriously, you didn't have to do that. Look, I'm going to say this once, and if you ever repeat it, I'll have you kneecapped. She drops her hand, fixing him with a glare that manages both chilling and fond. I'm rooting for you, okay? Wait, Zara, oh my god, I just realized, you're my friend? No, I'm not. Zara, you're my mean friend. I'm not. She yanks a blanket from her pile of belongings, turning back to Alex and wrapping it around her. Don't speak to me for the next 6 hours. I deserve a fucking nap. Wait. Okay, wait, Alex says. I have one question. She sighs heavily. What? Why did you wait to use Shan's personal number? Because he's my fiancé, arsehole, but some of us understand the meaning of discretion, so you wouldn't know it. She tells him without even so much as looking at him, curled up against the window of the plane. We agreed we'd never use our personal numbers for work contact. Now shut up and let me sleep before we have to deal with the rest of this. I'm running on nothing but black coffee, a Wetzel's pretzel, and a fistful of B12. Don't even breathe in my direction. I love her. I love her so much. She's like, I can keep a secret, unlike you, you fucking little idiot. But also the way she just she absolutely fights for him and she's rooting for him. And how could you not? If you didn't root for them, you wouldn't have a heart. And I love her. She's so cute. And honestly so hilarious. I love that he was like, even in this emotional state, he would still want to poke fun at her, be like, you are my friend. We do like each other, which I just thought was hilarious. We get to the palace, or not the palace, where they live. I don't quite remember the distinction between where they live and the palace, but I told you to stay away, Bea is saying as soon as the door is open. Brandishing a guitar over her shoulder, she drops it as soon as she sees him. Oh, Alex, I'm so sorry. I thought you were Philip. I want a still of Bea. Whoa, we don't usually go this far, mate. Bea just like standing there under the door with like a guitar. Do I have anything that could be guitar adjacent? Hold. This isn't a guitar, but it's like good enough. Bea just standing there, been like, I will fucking take you out, Philip. Watch out. It's a fan, FYI. I want to see that so bad. I think it would be so funny to like watch her with something ready to just like beat up her brother who's also in line to be the king. That it just fills me. It fills my soul. She scoops him up with her free hand into a surprisingly bone-crushing hug. Thank God you're here. I was about to come get you myself. When she releases him, he's finally able to see Henry behind her, slumped on the settee with a bottle of brandy. He smiles at Alex, weakly, and says, bit short for a stormtrooper. Alex's laugh comes out, half sob, and it's impossible to know if he moves first or if Henry does, but they meet in the middle of the room. Henry's arms around Alex's neck, swallowing him up. If Henry's voice on the phone was a tether, his body is the gravity that makes it possible. His hand gripping the back of Alex's neck, a magnetic force, a permanent compass north. I'm sorry, is what comes out of Alex's mouth, miserably, earnestly muffled against Henry's throat. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Henry releases him, his hands on his shoulders, jaw set. Don't you dare. I'm not sorry for a thing. Alex laughs again, incredulous, looking up into the heavy circles under Henry's eyes and the chewed up bottom lip, and for the first time seeing a man born to lead a nation. I love this, like, and I said it, it's like this weird, it's not like a newfound but it is and it isn't. He's just like had enough. He's, like, I'm not sorry anymore. I'm living my life. I'm living my truth. I'm being with the man I love. And by seeing that side of him, it's like, that's a man born to lead a nation. I think that's such a cool line. And it's just because he's finally like, it's not that he doesn't stick up for himself. He lived the life that he thought was the best of his situation. But now he's like, I'm living the life best for me, and I love it. You're unbelievable, Alex says. He leans up and kisses the underside of his jaw, finding it rough from a full, fitful day without a shave. He pushes his nose, his cheek into it, feels some of the tension sap out of Henry at the touch. You know that? They find their way into the lush purples and reds of the Persian rugs on the floor, Henry's head in Alex's lap, and Bea on a... Now, I was reading this. Bea on a poof? A poof? I don't know what that word is. P-O-U-F. Poof? Poof. I want to read it as poof. And I know that can be a slur, but are we allowed to reclaim that one? I'm pretty sure someone says that later in the thing. But all I could read... Okay, you could call me out if this is bad, but all I could read is Bea on a poof, and she's just like sitting on a gay man. Is that too far? I'd like to say sorry. If not, I thought it was funny. Anywho, I'm assuming it's some sort of like Ottoman type small chair. We're gonna learn, well, someone's gonna let me know, because I have no fucking idea, because I'm so dumb. Plugging away a weird little instrument, she tells Alex is called an autoharp. Bea pulls over a tiny table, sets out crackers and a little chunk of soft cheese, and takes away the brandy bottle. From the sound of it, the Queen is absolutely livid. Not just to finally have confirmation about Henry, but also because it's via something that is so undignified as a tabloid scandal. Philip drove in from Anmer Hall The minute the news broke, and has been rebuffed by Bea every time he tries to get near Henry, for what he says will simply be a stern discussion about the consequence of his actions. Catherine has been by once, 3 hours ago, stone-faced and sad, to tell Henry that she loves him, and he could have told her sooner. And I said, "That's great, Mum, but as long as you're letting Gran keep me trapped, it doesn't mean a fucking thing," Henry says. Alex stares down at him, shocked and a little impressed. Henry rests an arm over his face. I feel awful. I don't know, all the time she could have been there the past few years. It caught up to me. B sighs. Maybe it was the kick in the ass she needs. We've been trying to get her to do anything for years since Dad. Still, Henry says, the way Gran is, Mum isn't to blame for that, and she did manage to protect us before. It's not fair. H, B says firmly. It's hard, but she needs to hear it. She looks down at the little buttons of the auto harp. We deserve to have one parent at least. The corner of her mouth pinches, so much like Henry's. Are you okay? Alex asks her. I know, I saw a couple of articles. He doesn't finish the sentence. The Powder Princess was the 4th highest Twitter trend 10 hours ago. Her frown twitches into half a smile. Me? Honestly, it's almost a relief. I've always said that the most comfortable I would be is everyone knowing my story up front, so I don't have to hear the speculations or lie to cover the truth, or explain it. I'd rather it, hadn't been this way, but here we are. At least now I can start acting as if it's something to be ashamed of. Lots of things there. The thing with his mum is tough, because obviously she was just forever in the biggest state of grief, and she kind of goes on to it as we get further, but she can't be blamed, but she can be blamed. It's very nuanced, and it makes sense. It's real. It's family. There's no right or wrong. There's no who to blame. There's just shit that happened. She lost the love of her life, and she was fucking, grief-stricken, and it was a tragedy, but also her kids needed her, and she wasn't there for a lot of it, which is another tragedy, and it's hard, but just to see them all thinking about that and talking about that is really interesting. I also love the way that B's my shit's out there, but it's good. I don't have to lie. I think there is something to be said about the truth being out there, just in general, not having to lie or keep up these facades anymore, and just going with what is what it is, and obviously people make mistakes, they do bad things, and to lie about it is one thing, but and it's fine, each to their own, but bringing it up and talking about the truth and just been this is shit that happens, she's now sober, and she worked from that, she learned from it, and not everyone does, but she has this incredible story where she was in this slump, but she bounced back, and now she's such a beautiful person. She's fighting for her brother. She's so good and got so much to give. I think a lot of people would get more out of hearing about it than they do hearing the lies. I feel B could really go on to use her story and her journey to help a lot of people. I feel a lot of people who do bad things or have done bad things to varying degrees and overcome them and learn from them can help other people either get through the same things or, get people to stop before it even starts. I think that's to become that role model is really good. And I just really like B. This was a B chapter, and I was loving it. Henry drifts asleep at some point, and Alex is thankful for it, but he can still feel the tension in every part of Henry's body against him. He hasn't slept since the news, B tells him quietly. Alex nods slightly, searching her face. Can I ask you something? Always. I feel like he's not telling me something, Alex whispers. I believe him when he says he's in, and he wants to tell everyone the truth, but there's something he's not saying, and it's freaking me out that I can't figure out what it is. B looks up, her fingers stilling. Oh, love, she says simply. He misses Dad. Oh? He sighs, putting his head on his hands. Of course. Can you explain, he attempts lamely, what it's like? what I can do. She shifts on her poof, poff. She shifts on her small chair, assumably, repositions the harp onto the floor, and reaches into her sweater. She withdraws a silver coin on a chain, her sobriety chip. Do you mind if I go a bit sponsor? She asks with a smirk. He offers her a weak half smile, and she continues. This section is beautiful and very interesting, and I love the way they talked about it. So imagine we're all born with a set of feelings. Some are broader or deeper than others, but for everyone, there's that ground floor, a bottom crust of the pie. That's the maximum depth of your feeling you've ever experienced. And then the worst thing happens to you. The very worst thing that could ever have happened. The thing that you had nightmares about as a child. And you thought it's alright because when that thing will happen to me, when I'm older and wiser, and I'll have felt so many feelings by then, that this one worst feeling, the worst possible feeling, won't seem as terrible. But it happens to you when you're young. It happens when your brain isn't fully done cooking, when you've barely experienced anything, really. The worst thing is one of the first big things that ever happens to you in your life. It happens to you and it goes all the way down to the bottom of what you know how to feel. And it rips it open and carves out this chasm down below to make room. And because you were so young, and because it was one of the first big things to happen in your life, you'll always carry it inside you. Every time something terrible happens to you from then on, it doesn't just stop at the bottom, it goes all the way down. She reaches across the tiny tea table, a sad little pile of water crackers, and touches the back of Alex's hand. Do you understand? She asks him, looking right into his eyes. You need to understand this to be with Henry. He's the most loving, nurturing, selfless person you could hope to meet, but there is a sadness and a hurt in him that is tremendous, and you may very well never truly understand it, but you need to love it as much as you love the rest of him, because that's him. That is him, part and parcel, and he is prepared to give it all to you, which is far more than I ever, in 1,000 years, thought I would see him do. Alex sits there, trying for a long moment to absorb it, and says, I haven't been through anything like that, he says, voice rough, but I've always felt it in him. There's this side to him that's unknowable. He takes a breath. But the thing is, jumping off cliffs is kind of my thing. That's the choice. I love him, with all that, because of all that, on purpose. I love him on purpose. Bea smiles gently. Then you'll do fine. On purpose, I love him on purpose. That was number 2 that got me choked up. It got me choked up. It hurts me. It hurts me a lot. It hurts me deeply. Do you know how much this book hurts my heart? It goes straight to the bottom of my emotions, rips it apart, and goes deeper. That's how much this book hits me. Oh, I think it's such a beautiful analogy for that grief, and that grief as a child, and that pain. It doesn't have to be grief, but that's the one we're talking about, and how something like that can just hit the bottom of you and rip it and just go even further than can be even imaginable. As a lot of people who may not have experienced certain other things, we can imagine the bottom, our lowest points, and to think that could go lower is just so crazy. But Alex is I can't understand it, but I know it's been there, and I love it because it's a part of him, and it makes him. I love him on purpose. I love him on purpose. It kills me, and I love it. It's such a beautiful way to think about it. Visually in my mind, I was thinking about it, I could see it. It was great. It was fantastic. I could see I was imagining just this void and just this fear. I don't know. The way it created things in my mind, it was fantastic, and I was loving it. Then Bea goes to talk to her mum, and unfortunately when Bea disappears, Philip shows up because he is a rat, and what does Bea like to do? Smash rats with guitars, but she was unfortunately not there, so Philip, that little rat, that little vermin, showed up we don't like him. We don't like Philip. Screw that guy. Whatchamacallit? He's... We have a fight. We have a fight with Philip, and it's definitely a good one. It's new. It's serious. There's a lot of stuff going on. I can understand Philip. I just don't agree with him. I'm 23, Philip, Henry says, audibly struggling to keep his voice even. Mum was barely more than that when she met Dad. Yes, and you think that was a wise decision? Philip says nastily. Marrying a man who spent half our childhoods making films, who never served his country, who got sick and left us, and Mum. Don't, Philip, Henry says. I swear to God, just because your obsession with family legacy didn't impress them. First of all, I just want to add the, do you think it was a wise idea that our mum married our dad? What, you've got to think it's a wise idea, or else you wouldn't fucking exist, Philip. That's kind of how it works, you dickhead. Oh my God, he riles me up. Me and Henry on the same page. You clearly don't know the first fucking thing about what a legacy means if you can let something like this happen, Philip snaps. The only thing to do now is to bury it and hope that somehow people will believe that none of it is real. That's your duty, Henry. It's the least you can do. I'm sorry, Henry says, sounding wretched, but there's a bit of defiance rising in him too. I'm sorry that I'm such a disgrace for being the way I am. I don't care if you're gay, Philip says, dropping a big fat if like Henry hasn't already specifically told him. I care that you've made this choice. With him. He cuts his eyes sharply to Alex, as if he finally exists in the same room as this conversation. Someone with a fucking target on his back. To be so stupid and naive and selfish as to think it wouldn't completely fuck us all. Selfish is fucked. To add selfish to that is to say you being happy is selfish is horrid. I knew, Philip. Jesus Christ, Henry says. I knew it would ruin everything. I was terrified of exactly this. But how could I have predicted it? How? As I said, naive, Philip tells him. This is the life we live, Henry. You've always known it. I've tried to tell you, but I wanted to be a good brother to you, but you don't bloody listen. It's time to remember your place in this family. Be a man, stand up, and take responsibility. Fix this. For once in your life, don't be a coward. Henry flinches like he's been physically slapped. Alex can see it now. This is how he was broken down over the years. Maybe not always this explicitly, but always there, always implied. Remember your place. Nah, that hurts. And he does the thing Alex loves so much. He sticks his chin out, steeling himself up. I'm not a coward, he says. I don't want to fix it. Philip slants a harsh, humorless laugh at him. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't possibly know. Fuck off, Philip. I love him, Henry says. Oh, you love him, do you? Oh, it's patronizing. Sorry, let me take it again. Let me take my lines again. Oh, you love him, do you? I think that was good enough. It's so patronizing that Alex's hand twitches into a fist under the table. What exactly do you intend to do then, Henry? Marry him? Make him the Duchess of Cambridge? The first son of the United Bloody States, fourth in line to be the Queen of England? I'll fucking abdicate, Henry says, his voice raising. I don't care. You wouldn't dare, Philip spits back. We have a great uncle who abdicated because he was a fucking Nazi, so it'd hardly be the worst reason anyone's done it, would it? Henry's yelling now, and he's out of his chair, hands shaking, towering over Philip, and Alex notices he's actually taller. Just the fact that that's what he's focusing on at this point in time. What kind of family that says we'll take the murder, we'll take the raping and pillaging and the colonizing, we'll scrub it up nice and neat into a museum, but no, you're a bloody poof? I told you it was coming up. That's beyond our sense of decorum. Well, bloody well, I've had it. I've sat about long enough letting you and Gran and the weight of the damned world keep me pinned. I'm finished. I don't care. Take your legacy and your decorum, and you can shove it up your fucking ass, Philip. I'm done. So good. He huffs an almighty breath, turns on his heel, and stalks out of the kitchen. Alex, mouth hanging open, remains frozen in his seat for a few seconds. Across from him, Philip, who's looking red-faced and queasy. Alex clears his throat, stands, buttons his jacket. And for what it's worth, he says to Philip, that's the bravest son of a bitch I've ever met. And leaves too. Is that not like the perfect... Oh, I love... You know what I hate about books and movies? When it's written. It's written so when they have these good fights, they get to be written or, you know, like the lines are the best thing you could possibly say when you need to it. When I'm in a fight, all I get is... fuck you, and then I run away because I can't think of these beautiful rebuttals. I don't know. I wish I could verbally fight so eloquently that they do, because I don't get near to this good and it drives me nuts. But, you know, going back to when he says, you know, remember your place, like that's how he's been broken down over years. This is the thing. Everyone's like, you know, stay your course, stay in your lane, don't switch. You are this. This is what you are. This is what you have to be. This is what is expected of you. You can't be anything else. You shouldn't be. That's not what you want. That's not what we want. That's not what the family wants. That's not what the country wants. And you had that just like continuously like talked over him and put in his head. And that's why he's thinking about it. And that's where this confidence and him saying, no, fuck this, not anymore, I'm being who I want, just is so strong and so powerful, because he's taking all the things that has put him down in life and which has kept him down and secretive and quiet. And he's saying, fuck that noise, I'm out. I'm doing what I want, when I want it, and who I want, and who I'm going to be doing is fucking Alex Claremont Diaz. Whew. Ooh, Philip riles me up. But that was fantastic. Oh my god, and there's so much more to come to get my heart beating. We've got a good like 5 or 6 pages left, and there's gonna be a lot of reading of most of it, and holy shit, it just gets more and more. But god, is this chapter done well. So we get to Buckingham Palace. We get there, we're going to meet the Queen. And that's a big change, which I like from the movie. Like, I don't really have an opinion on them having the king in the movie and the queen in the book. Obviously, it's just a change. I like Stephen Fry, the actor, who's a big... Oh, God. I forget. I know. I read your comments. I really do. I know I've talked to different people in the comments about Stephen Fry. I'm pretty sure he's a gay man. I don't want to get it wrong. Like, it's not that I don't think he's not queer. I just don't remember. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a gay man. I don't want to get it wrong and insult him. But do you have... maybe that's why they went with the king. They could get Stephen Fry, and that's just hilarious. Like, it's beautiful and hilarious that they can have him being like the homophobic one, and it's just such a funny... And the way I have seen different memes of him saying homosexual on my different like timelines, I think is hilarious. But I think that works. Like, I don't have an opinion on it. Maybe some people are sad it's not a queen. There is something different about an old, bitter old lady, like a mean old lady that's a different type of scary than, you know, a kid or an old man. But I like the differences in seeing between both of them. But before we even get there, we're outside. We're talking to his mum, and I'm gonna skip over a description, but I like forgot who she was, and I'm happy I forgot, because I got to get reintroduced. We haven't really talked about it, to be fair, but she is interesting, and I'll get into my thoughts when we talk about her more. Hi, my baby, she says, and Henry draws up even with her. Henry's jaw is tight, but it's not anger, only fear. Alex can see on his face an expression he recognizes. Henry's wondering if it's safe to accept the love offered to him, and wanting desperately to take it regardless. He puts his arm around her and lets her kiss his cheek. Mum, this is Alex, Henry says, and adds, as if it's not obvious, my boyfriend. It's just every time they say it or acknowledge it, it makes me smile. She turns to Alex and is honestly not sure what to expect, but she pulls him towards her and kisses his cheek too. My bee has told me what you've done for my son, she says, her gaze piercing. Thank you. Bee is behind her, looking tired but focused, and Alex can only imagine the come to Jesus talk she must have given her mother before they got to the palace. She locks eyes with Zara as their little party assembles in the hall, and Alex feels like they couldn't possibly be in more capable hands. He wonders if Catherine is up to joining the ranks. "What are you going to say to her?" Henry asks his mother. She sighs, touching the edges of her glasses. "Well, the old bird isn't much moved by emotion, so I suppose I'll try to appeal to her with political strategy." Henry blinks. "Sorry? What are you saying?" "I'm saying I've come to fight," she says, straightforward and plain. "You want to tell the truth, don't you?" "Yeah, Mum." A light of hope has switched on but behind his eyes. "Yes, I do." "Then we can try." What is that? What are we up to? Number 3? That support and that love, and I've been so trapped by her grief, and he's been trapped by the family, and for them both to just kind of get together and just be on the same page and ready to fight this evil. And also the way they said their little party, I can imagine them all in a little RPG sort of. They're all got their classes, Alex has got a sword, and one of them's a mage, and they're all ready to fight the big boss, which is the dragon. It's just gonna be a dragon, and the dragon is the queen, and they look all cute, and my imagination runs wild. But also it's just I'm ready to fight for you and with you. It hurts, and I love it, and it just it hits me hard. But then we have kind of Queen Mary comes in. She's making tea. She's doing what she wants. No one's talking, because she does whatever she wants because she's the fucking queen. Which honestly, fun time. I want that much power that I can choose what to do, when I want, and no one can talk to me. if I don't say anything, no one's talking. I think that's so funny that she just has this weird power. But I'm gonna skip a little bit in and then read literally 6 or 7 pages. But from here on out, I can't miss any. I need to reread it. I need to talk about it with you. I need to just process it again. It's all so good. Very well. In that case, her gaze shifts to Alex. "Alexander, if I had known you were involved with my grandson, I would have insisted upon a more formal first meeting." "Gran, do be quiet, Henry dear." Catherine speaks up then. "Mum." The Queen holds up one of her wizened hands to silence her. "I thought we had been humiliated enough in the papers when Beatrice had her little problem. And I made myself clear, Henry, years ago, that if you were drawn in unnatural directions, appropriate measures would be taken. Why you could have chosen to undermine the hard work I have done to maintain the crown standing is beyond me, and why you seem to set on disrupting my efforts to restore it by demanding I submit with some boy." Here, a nasty lilt to her polite tone, under which Alex can hear the hear the somethings for everything from his race to sexuality. "When you were told to await orders is truly a mystery. Clearly you have taken leave from your senses. My position is unchanged, dear. Your role in this family is to perpetuate our bloodline and maintain the appearance of a monarchy as the ideal of British excellence, and I simply cannot allow anything less." Boring. That sucks. Henry is looking down, eyes distant and cast towards the grain of the table, and Alex can practically feel the energy roiling up from Catherine across from him. An answer to the fury tight in his own chest. The princess who ran away with James Bond, who told her children to give back what the country stole, making a choice. "Mum," she says evenly. Mum, she says evenly. "Don't you think we ought to at least have a conversation about other options?" The Queen's head turns slowly. "And what options might those be, Catherine?" "Well, I think there's something to be said for coming clean. It could save us a great deal of face to treat it not as a scandal, but as an intrusion upon the privacy of the family and the victimization of a young man in love." "Which is what it was," Bea chimes in. We could integrate It's been a lot of reading. We could integrate this into our narrative, Catherine says, choosing her words with extreme precision. Reclaim the dignity of it. Make Alex an official suitor. I see. So your plan is to allow him to choose this life. Here, a slight tell. It's the only life for him that's honest, Mum. The Queen purses her lips. Henry, she says, returning to him. Wouldn't you have a more pleasant go of it without all the unnecessary complications? You know we have the resources to find a wife for you and compensate her handsomely. You understand I'm only trying to protect you. You know it is important. I know it seems important to you in this moment, but you really must think of the future. You do realize this would mean years of reporters hounding you, all the allegations. I can't imagine people would be as eager to welcome you into children's hospitals. Stop it, Henry burst out. Which, yeah, that's a fuck thing. Like, all the things she says is fucked, but just like, you know, you should just have a wife. It'll be easier. Why can't you just be normal? Like, it'll be an easier life. Why have you decided this is not going to be a forever love? Fuck her. Fuck this queen. She sucks. She sucks so much. And I love... I'll just add it in here one more time. Mama Dearest is coming in clutch. I'm really enjoying her. Stop it, Henry burst out. All the eyes in the room swivel to him, and he looks pale and shocked at the sound of his own voice. But he goes on. You can't intimidate me into submission forever. Alex's hand gropes across the space between them under the table, and the moment his fingertips catch on the back of Henry's wrist, Henry's hand is gripping his, hard. I know it will be difficult, Henry says. It's terrifying, and if you'd asked me a year ago, I probably would have said it was fine, that nobody needs to know, but I'm as much a person and a part of this family as you. I deserve to be happy as much as any of you do, and I don't think I ever will be if I have to spend my whole life pretending. Nobody says you don't deserve to be happy, Philip cuts in. First love makes you mad. It's foolish to throw away your future because of one hormonal decision based on less than a year of your life when you are barely in your 20s. We're going to stop for a second. The only part I slightly get about any of the arguments here is they have only been like less than a year. Like, their love burns strong and hard. But yeah, I'm one of those people that is like, some people, you know, that when you hear people being like, oh, they're married after a month of dating, you're like, what? Obviously I know they're forever, and I can see that, but sometimes I'm like, whoop, that was a bit quick. That was a lot. That was quick. You're going fast. You're on the freeway and you are speeding. You need to slow the fuck down. But the way it's just like, oh, you know, no one says you don't deserve to be happy. You're literally saying it by saying he can't live his truth and his life and be happy with the ones he wants to be happy with. Because you're saying, oh, you know, if he can't be with, you know, Alex, you're saying he can't be with any men, therefore he's not going to be happy. Like, what's not clicking, Philip? Are you dumb? Like, come on, dude, catch up. You're a dummy. You're a dummy dum-dum, and I hate you. I'm going back. I was like, Philip's not like that. I hate him. But I'm like, come on, man. Figure it out. Catch up. Henry looks Philip square in the face and says, I've been gay as a maypole since the day I came out of Mum, Philip. In the silence that follows, Alex has to bite down very hard on his tongue to surpass the urge to laugh hysterically. Well, the Queen eventually says. She's holding her teacup daintily in the air, eyeing Henry over it. Even if you're willing to submit the flogging of the papers, it doesn't erase the stipulations of your birthright. You are to produce heirs, and Alex apparently hasn't been biting his tongue hard enough because he blurts out, we could still do that. Even Henry's head whips around at that. I don't recall giving you permission to speak in my presence, Queen Mary says. Mum, that raises the issue of surrogates or donors, Philip jumps back in, and the rights to the throne. Are those details pertinent right now, Philip? Catherine interrupts. Someone has to bear the stewardship for the royal legacy, Mum. I don't care for that tone at all. Honestly, Mum should have slapped him. We can entertain the hypotheticals, but the fact of the matter is that anything but maintaining the royal image is out of the question. the Queen says, setting down her teacup. The country simply will not accept a prince of his proclivities. I'm sorry, dear, but to them it's perverse. Perverse to them or perverse to you? Catherine asks her. Fucking A. Fucking A. That isn't fair, Philip says. It's my life, Henry interjects. We haven't even gotten a chance to see how people would react. I have been serving this country for 47 years, Catherine. I believe I know its heart by now. As I have told you since you were a little girl, you must remove your head from the clouds. A. Get fucked. Queen Mary? Ooh! Pop her head. Hop her head like a balloon. Oh my god. She sucks. I'm all over the place. She sucks so much. And also, like, she's like, I know the heart of the country. Do you? Do you, bitch? When do you step outside, huh? Huh? Go, I don't know, paddle boating or go down to the market. You don't know you're a royal. You know the people from inside rich. And even if you do know the people, do you know all the people? Or do you know the rich people? Or the people who have grown up with you? Do you know the youth? Surely not, you bitch. Oh, I hate her. Queen Mary can get fucked. She is the devil. She is the devil. Oh, will you all shut up for a second, Bea says. She's standing now, brandishing Shan's tablet in one hand. Look. She thunks it down on the table so Queen Mary and Philip can see it, and the rest of them stand to look too. It's a news report from the BBC, but the sound is off. But Alex reads the scroll at the bottom of the screen. Worldwide support pours in for the Prince Henry and the first son of the US. Oh, that gets me. The room falls silent at the images on the screen. A rally in New York outside the Bleakman, decked out with rainbows and waving signs that say things like, First son of our hearts. The banner on the side of the bridge in Paris that reads, Henry plus Alex, we're here. A hasty mural on a wall in Mexico City of Alex's face in blue, purple and pink, a crown on his head. A herd of people in Hyde Park with rainbow Union Jacks and Henry's face ripped out of magazines and plastered onto the poster boards reading, Free Henry. A young woman with a buzz cut throwing 2 fingers up at the windows of the Daily Mail. A crowd of teenagers in front of the White House wearing homemade t-shirts that all say the same thing in crooked Sharpie letters. A phase he recognized from one of his own emails. History, huh? It gets me a lot. It's hard because, oh no, I'm going to start crying. I'm not trying to choke it back. I just want to get my sentences and thoughts out. I think there's a lot to say about, from whatever your point of view. If you're watching this video, I don't think you hate it. I don't think you're on the opposite side of the LGBT. But just the crazy amount of things where, people who protest, like, against, queer people and against those groups. And I just, yeah, whatever. But I feel like life's too short, and things like this where these groups, which I think are so beautiful and lovely, about, openness and love and accepting and, anyone can be who they want and who they are, and we should be proud of people and want people to be honest. I think spreading that message and standing up for that is just so much better. Like, why the fuck would you not want to spread hate? It doesn't, I can say fuck Queen Mary, spread that. She's, I can hate things, but, to spread this, love and positivity is so much more, serious and beautiful. And why would you want to spend your life spreading something? I don't know. I think that paragraph and scene is just bigger than the book in itself. I think it's so beautiful, and I think the way that is how people would go about this situation, because there are a lot of people that want such good for everyone in the world, and I think it really shines on people's goodness. And everyone loves a bit of goodness and standing up for people and love. So I really like that paragraph, and it gets to me a lot. It really does, if you cannot hear it in my voice. Alex tries to swallow, but he can't. He looks up, and Henry is looking back at him, mouth open, eyes wet. Me too, boys. Me too, boys. Princess Catherine turns and crosses the room slowly, towards the tall windows on the east side of the room. Catherine, don't, the Queen says. But Catherine grabs the heavy curtains with both hands and throws them open. A burst of sunlight and colour pushes the air out of the room. Down on the mall in front of Buckingham Palace, there's a mass of people with banners and signs, American flags, Union Jacks, pride pennants streaming over their heads. It's not as big as the royal wedding crowd, but it's huge, filling up the pavement and pressed up to the gates. Alex and Henry were told to come in through the back of the palace. They never saw it. Henry has carefully approached the window. Alex watches from across the room as he reaches out and grazes his fingertips against the glass. Catherine turns to him and says on a shaky sigh, "Oh, my love," and pushes him into her chest somehow, and even though he's nearly a foot taller, Alex has to look away. After everything, this feels too private for him to witness. It's beautiful. Weirdly, I know this is, I don't want to be that person, but I wish this was in the movie. We got to see the people cheering for them. I don't know, we only got to see like this crappy CGI of them outside the palace in the movie, but seeing how big it is in the different countries just puts on this bigger scope and just hits a lot harder. It's not even that it's just, it was badly done in the movie or anything. It's not that. It's just I wish they showed like the more of the scope to really hit me hard. But I wonder we're doing the next rewatch, but I wonder how it will go having read this. The Queen clears her throat. This is hardly representative of how the country as a whole will respond, she says. Jesus Christ, Mum, Catherine says, releasing Henry and nudging him behind her on a protective reflex, which is also cute because she hasn't been very parental and, protective, and it's starting back up. This is precisely why I didn't want to see you. You're too soft-hearted to accept the truth, Catherine, given any other option. The majority of this country still wants the ways of old. Catherine draws herself up, her posture ramrod straight as she approaches the table again. It's a product of royal breeding, but it comes off more like a bow being drawn. It weirdly, I love that. I don't know why I love that line. The way the posture is like standing up, but the way she says bow being drawn, I can see the the comeback, like her like getting ready to I don't know. I really liked it. Of course they do, Mum. Of course the bloody Tories of Kensington and the Brexit fools don't want it. That's not the point. Are you so determined to believe nothing could change, that nothing should change, that we have a real legacy here of hope and love and change, not the same tepid shite and drudgery we've been selling since World War II? You will not speak to me this way, Queen Mary says icily, one tumultuous ancient hand still resting on her teaspoon. I'm 60 years old, Mum, Catherine says. We can't eschew decorum at this point. No respect, never an ounce of respect for the sanctity. Or perhaps I should bring some of my concerns to Parliament, Catherine says, leaning into to lower her voice right in Queen Mary's face. Alex recognises this glint in her eyes. He never knew. He always assumed Henry got it from his dad. I don't think Labour is rather finished with the old guard, I wonder if I were to mention those meetings you kept forgetting about, or the names of countries you can't quite keep straight, if they might decide that 47 is perhaps enough years for people of Britain to expect you to serve. The tremor in the Queen's hand has doubled, but her jaw is steely. The room is deadly silent. You wouldn't dare. Wouldn't I, Mum? Would you like to find out? Catherine turns to face Henry, and Alex is surprised to see tears on her face. I'm sorry, Henry, she says. I failed you. I failed all of you. You needed your mum and I wasn't there, and I was so frightened that you started to think maybe it was for the best, to let you all keep behind glass. She turns back to her mother. Look at them, Mum. They're not props of a legacy. They're my children, and I swear on my life and Arthur's, I will take you off the throne before I let them feel the things you made me feel. It's just, I love a parent fighting for their child. It is very cute. It is very sweet. It kills me. This is just an emotional chapter, an emotional last, fucking book chapter lifetime. My head is frizzing because I'm getting hotter and hotter and stressed and sad, and I love it all. I'm loving every second. But whew, Jesus, me throat's taken a turn. The room hangs in suspense for a few antagonizing seconds. Then, I still don't think Philip begins, but Bea seizes a pot of tea from the center of the table and dumps it in his lap. I'm terribly sorry, Pip, she says, grabbing him by the shoulders and shoving him, sputtering and yelping, towards the door. So dreadfully clumsy, you know. I think all that cocaine I did must have really done a job on my reflexes. Let's go get cleaned up, shall we? She heaves him out, throwing Henry a thumbs up over her shoulder, and shuts the door behind them. The Queen looks over at Alex and Henry, and Alex sees it in her eyes at last. She's afraid of them. She's afraid of the threat they pose to the perfect Fabergé veneer she spent her whole life maintaining. They terrify her, and Catherine isn't backing down. Well, Queen Mary says, I suppose you don't leave me with much choice, do you? Oh, you have a choice, Mum, Catherine says. You've always had a choice. Perhaps today you'll make the right one. Fucking amen. Like, it's time everyone just, wisens up. Going back to, I don't understand what people have got to get. It's, queer people, they're different. It's scary. Change is scary. I understand that. But also, a lot of the times, people being queer doesn't do anything to anyone else, and giving them rights and I can't think of the word, acknowledging them and respecting them won't fucking hurt, and it's not that hard. Oh, I'm on an anger train. I'm thinking about people who refuse to do the pronouns and stuff. Oh my god, it drives me nuts. I am only a human. I fuck up with pronouns too all the time. I didn't know that Casey McQuiston, I can't say their name, I referred to them as she. A couple of chapters ago, someone let me know in the comments they go by they, them. Easy, I'll fix it. I'll still fuck up. I went to go say the wrong thing then. But it's not that, I don't know, you just gotta start making the right choice. And people are pronoun. I'm everyone has pronouns, get over it. You switch one word. Not that fucking hard. Ooh, I've made myself angry at this. But yes, it's not too late to make the right choice. And it's not that hard either to fucking respect people and their rights to, I don't know, live and exist. We're all gonna be dead in fucking 80 years at, give or take. Why spend so much time degrading people and being awful when you could just be happy and just not care and live your own life? Woo! I've really thrown myself into anger. I guess to say, no, I'm gonna continue on. We're loving this. This is what we're loving. In the corridor of Buckingham Palace, as soon as the door has shut behind them, they fall sideways onto the tapestry on the wall, breathless and delirious, and laughing, cheeks wet. Henry pulls Alex close and kisses him, whispers, I love you, I love you, I love you, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if anyone sees. That feeling would be probably just the most amazing thing in existence. He's on the... Oh, jeez. Me throat is not doing well. He's on the way back to the airstrip when he sees it. Emblazoned on the side of a brick building, on a shock of colour against a grey street. Wait, Alex says to the driver. Stop the car. Up close, it's beautiful. 2 stories tall. He can't imagine how someone was able to put together something like this so fast. It's a mural of himself and Henry, facing each other, haloed by a bright yellow sun, depicted as Han and Leia. Henry is in all white, starlight in his hair. Alex is dressed as a scruffy smuggler, blaster at the hip. A royal and a rebel, arms around each other. He snaps a photo on his phone, his fingers shaking, types out a tweet, never tell me the odds. He calls June from the air over the Atlantic. I need your help, he says. He hears the click of her pen cocking at the other end of the line. What you got? And also, I don't even I've never seen Star Wars. I've got to get around to it because all of my friends love Star Wars, but just to see these people, just everyone cheering them on and encouraging them, and just that chapter is rough and harsh, and it just makes me so emotional. But his mother is just the absolute star of this chapter. It's beautiful to see. I love the progression of her from what we've heard from them to how much she fights. Bea is beautiful. Bea's doing the most. I love it. Queen Mary and Philip can get fucked. I hate them. I don't care. I will probably go back and forth on that. Well, on Philip, maybe. Queen Mary for now sucks. We hate her. But just to see the strength and the unity, and they kind of win, and I want to see where it goes, because I feel like we have this and then we're done. But I think I've got only 1 or 2 more chapters. I don't even know. I'm freaking out. I love it. I can't wait to see what's next. I'm excited. I'm so excited. But yeah, I will figure out before I start the next one whether there's 1 or 2 more chapters, and that'll depend whether when I do the poll for the next book. And I want to thank everyone for commenting their book opinions. I've been reading them all. I've been seeing talks about it. I've got my list. We've got a good couple of double ups, which is cool, because I like that people are kind of recommending things similar to Red, White and Royal Blue, and there are double ups, meaning I'm oh wow, that's cool. Multiple people have read this and liked this vibe, which is fun. So I'm excited to gather that up for the poll and put that up, and we'll figure out what book we're reading next. And obviously I'll figure out when to put that up to give me time to get onto it, because this will be finished. And then I guess I'll just maybe start the next book straight away, I would assume. I don't know what future me is going to do, but we'll see, because I'll just slot the rewatch of Red, White and Royal Blue probably into my normal movie slot for that week. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's to come. I'm emotional. My throat hurts. I've been talking for longer than usual, but there was just so much good stuff to read. I hope, obviously, I feel like if you're here, I don't have to say it, but I hope you enjoyed all the reading out. I love talking about what's going on, but I actually am very much enjoying reading the book aloud. It's getting my second reading in, letting me process and think about it. I feel like it's a fun way to go through it and share it with you all. So thank you for allowing me to and watching, listening, comment, all that stuff, which is amazing. I thank you very much. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I can't wait to see you in the next chapter. Thanks for watching.